Americans love the taste of an ice-cold beer. And the love of beer is enormous in our tiny country. We drink beer with friends, enjoy one with dinner, and greet our neighbors across the fence with a skål. Yep, beer has always been a big part of our culture. But in the last couple of years, beer sales have gone down. So we've come up with a well-thought-out plan on how to turn the tide for the entire beer category. It's all about shifting focus. We need to put the consumer in the center and push the right buttons. Everything should be based on consumers' needs. To get the consumer-driven plan started, we need to know who drinks beer, when they drink it, and why they drink it. Knowing this, we will be able to make more people enjoy beer and more people to enjoy more beer. The consumer's characteristics and habits have been uncovered, and we now have extensive and usable knowledge about them. The Danes can be divided into 9 archetypes with regard to attitude and behavior towards alcohol, everyone possessing their own personal association to beer. Take, for example, the modern patriarch. He's a spontaneous male between 50 and 65 years of age. He's typically well-educated, lives north of Copenhagen, and has an annual salary of at least 500,000 kroner per year. His type consumes 14% of all beer in Denmark, and beer is his preferred alcoholic beverage. Another archetype is the mature single. She prefers predictability, is between 30 and 50 years old, and lives in the western part of the country. The mature single is modern and promotes community and sustainability above her own needs. Her type consumes 8% of all beer in Denmark, and beer is also her preferred beverage. This was only a couple of examples, and we could go into much greater detail about each type. When do the different archetypes drink their beer? They drink overall with or without food, formal or informal, home and away, alone or with company. Not all consumption situations are embraced equally by the various archetypes. Beer fulfills different roles, and people choose beer depending on the situation and who they're with. It might sound a tad complicated, so here's an explanation. Take, for example, the party animal. He'll go out for a drink and have half a dozen pints. To him, beer strengthens the sense of togetherness. He's very conscious about the type of beer he's seen with and finds it as important as, for example, the type of shoe he's wearing. It's all part of his identity. If we instead look at the traditional patriarch, he'll often drink his beer at home and alone. To him, beer is part of his everyday self-indulgence. The modern patriarchs need the same, but he's a lot more conscious about the brand he's drinking, as it reflects on his sense of self, even though he might also be alone. That was a couple of examples of how we can start looking at the consumption situation in a new way. By using our knowledge to combine the various archetypes and consumption situations, we've identified 5 drivers to focus on within the beer category. But knowing a lot of facts about the consumer just isn't enough. We have to act so that we together can increase beer sales. We know there will always be another Easter lunch, another thirsty festival, an electrifying football tournament, and a beautiful evening with steaks on the barbecue. During these special occasions, beer sales rise. Special occasions and holidays bring us together around our shared values, our Danishness, coziness, and life enjoyment. But even though the special occasions change and vary, the beer as the common denominator strengthens the sense of community. At these special occasions, there is an untapped potential. What if we positioned beer closer to the sense of community, and beer became the excuse to be more social, even on minor holidays, at town festivals, and local sports events? Another driver is the grey gold. Males over 50 who consume as much alcohol as the young. 1/3 of all the alcohol they consume is beer. The grey gold associate beer with stability and being down to earth, values they embrace and reflect. In social contexts, beer becomes a way to express manhood. Because masculinity is becoming more wanted in this increasingly gender-confused world. The grey gold wants to express manliness and do so with beer. So what if we turn drinking a beer before or after dinner into the manly activity? The third driver we have identified is the next generation, the youth of Denmark. Though only 6% of the population, they are responsible for 16% of the alcohol consumption. Beer is the largest part of their consumption, and they almost only drink in the company of friends. Even though this group drinks to get drunk, it has become important for them to remain in control. It is no longer accepted within the group to get senselessly drunk. To ensure the future, it's important that we introduce the next generation to beer where it is central to their social experience. But what if beer was even more connected to their social life and their desire to party while still remaining in control? Health and wellness is in. This is the fourth driver. People want to feel good and be healthy. That is why they naturally pay attention to their alcohol consumption. It is, however, not necessarily about counting calories, but it is more about keeping body and mind clear. A full 66% of the population is aware of the positive health effects of cutting down on alcohol consumption. But people don't want to be seen as a downer and ruin the sense of togetherness when having a drink together. Even though this group isn't huge, they will, in the long term, present a great potential. So what if we introduced an interesting beer with a lower alcohol content, so they'd still feel part of the group? Women, the fifth driver. Did you know that 72% of Danish women drink beer? Just not very often. Danish women like to appear feminine. However, they do it for their own sake and not to get acceptance from men. If advertising suggests they should do it for the men, it will not be well received by the Danish women. When women drink beer, they want to show they're man enough to drink a real beer, even though they prefer one with a more feminine taste. So they consciously avoid the female-focused flavors, even though they prefer the taste. What if women realized the countless choices that suit their exact preferences? With both the masculine packaging and, for her, with the right flavor.